Hello, we're back. So we had drawn this in our last video. So what we're going to do is we're going to introduce the concept of light, shadows and midtones. We'll not talk too much about midtones. We'll just see how light affects the lights, the highlights and the shadows. So let's assume we have a source of light somewhere here. It could be a point source. We will take a point source for the time being. So if this is a point source, again I'll not tease this from a perspective of optics, from physics, but we got to understand what we are doing here. So if this is your point source and your light rays come and strike this way, so and let's say this is a ball and it's lying on a table. Let's imagine that, right? So it will come here and you get a shadow like this. Another one like this, something like this, and because of diffusion the shadows would be more solid here and it would get diffused from here on out. So the edge would be sharp here and to be blended as it goes along, and after some point of in space it's completely blended. We'll look at that, but first let's figure out what the sphere would look like. So first of all, I'm going to remove these lines. I really don't need the lines right now, so I'm going to remove them. Just give a perspective of 3 dimension. In our earlier video, now that we're adding light, the concept of light in this, I don't think we're going to need these lines any longer. I think that's good enough. Right, so since I don't have anything to see, the background is white, the highlight portion would also be white, so I'll try to remove this additional line, this border, once I'm done with drawing the shadows. So I would start with the shadows section first. Okay. Okay, I switched my pencils. I don't want to waste my pencil for adding shadows. Doesn't make sense. I'm not that rich. Come on. So this portion. So talking about how to add shadows and the midtones to a sphere. So what we're going to notice, I'm going to mark very lightly. I don't want to go in sketch. This portion more or less will be very bright, so it will be pure white, right? And there will be a gradation, so you would see that the midtones would run up to somewhere here. Again, it will not be hard demarcations, it will be a blend, but I think from here on out we can call everything shadows. Again, shadows itself would be either lighter or darker, but using this demarcation, let's add shadows. So when you're adding shadows, you should do it in a very graded manner. You should not go ahead and add the darkest of the dark at the very beginning, because that kind of is the last nail of your coffin. You cannot go back from there. So what I would do is, we'll do it in smaller gradual layers. We'll see how to go about adding more contrast to it, but at the very beginning we'll not go ahead and add a lot of dark at one corner, because once you do that there's no turning back. So you have to be very careful how to add the contrast. So adding the contrast portion has to be very gradual. It cannot be that I start off with a lot of contrast at one place and then a sudden break. That doesn't work. And again, we're using a graphite pencil. This is not charcoal, so blending also is slightly more challenging. now let's add more contrast to this. Let's really not fond of this pencil, but okay, best we can do with this. I'm going to use the precision pencil to add the final layer of shadows, because this pencil really doesn't allow you to get any darker than this. So this is how you simulate the pressure. See, using the same pencil. one thing you have to be very clear about when you're drawing a spear is that the direction of the light, the mid tones, the shadows, it should be this curvature has to be maintained. It should not become flat like this. It has to be curved. That has to be maintained. Again, switching back to precision pencil. Why is this important? See, this is the highlights, right? So there should not, first of all, in any sketch, when you're trying to make it look realistic, when you're adding more realism to it, the border is supposed to go away. The border is not supposed to be there. The border is just a guideline. So keeping that in mind, for this spear, the border was just adding a visual hindrance in the process of making it look more realistic. So for the highlights part, see, for the mid-tones, we are having a virtual border. I don't want to call it a border, rather that's a demarcation where the spear ends and the environment begins, right? But for the highlights part, I think it should be even more clear. There should not be any hard, clear demarcation that it ends here. That has to be taken care of. Right? Fair enough. Now it's resting on a surface, right? So there's got to be shadow here as well. It's casting a shadow on the surface. You have to open that. Again, switching because it's expensive, no other reason. And honestly, it doesn't make sense to use the precision pencil for such purposes. This is just for demonstration, and this is not, let's say, a proper piece I'm working on. So, yes. In this case, you can see how we are switching pressure we're putting on the pencil. If you have a blender, it's even better. I don't have it right now. So this is pretty much what we are trying to achieve in this case. Now we have 3D sphere, just casting a shadow.